do you forgive me? I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? Okay.
I'll just save data. The games are fine.
It's still there, or the data is still there. Hello everyone, this is GT Time. I am your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us as always is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones.
Hi.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
And Michael Damiani. Thank you for reciprocating.
There you go.
I don't think I can right now.
I was in shock.
Brandon, how many hours of sleep you have right now? Let's count.
Are you in minutes or hours?
It's probably not too bad.
Yeah, I think I'm at like 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
4.5's not bad.
On the radio last night, they were talking about like baseball players, and you know how you have to you
What?
can't let a baseball player to play too many games because just like a human body gets too run ragged. I'm worried about you.
But it's almost over. We got one. It's one more game.
One more week or so.
You are our Clayton Kershaw.
Thanks, Kyle. That's a huge compliment, actually. Anybody should aspire to Kershaw levels of skill at whatever they do in life. He's incredible, so thank you. Wow, that's the nicest thing I've ever said to me,
You know what
Kyle.
bummed me out is they were talking about Kobe Bryant in particular. They were talking about him, and they're like, well, let's face it. He said he's going to play.
I thought you were talking about baseball.
Yeah, I went from baseball to basketball.
I'm going to basketball. They're talking about Kobe
Okay.
Bryant, and they're saying, let's face it, he's got 2 more seasons. The Lakers, they're not going to win the championship in the next 2 seasons. No. So why not let him just destroy himself? Let Kobe play every game. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't. It was really hard to listen to. They're not going to win. Just let him kill himself. Like, oh my God.
It's like gladiators. They want they want blood, you know.
They do.
Blood
exactly.
cells.
We want Kobe just to kill himself for us on the.
If we bled more on this show, we would get better viewership.
You're bleeding right now. Everyone's bleeding here on
I'm
this
on
panel.
this show every week. I'm not selling.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's do some corrections. Begin corrections music. Majora's Mask actually sold very well. It sold over 3 million copies.
Did we say
So
it?
timeout.
Okay.
This isn't a correction.
And corrections music.
Because there was no corrections to make because I said it sold many millions.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't give a specific number because I didn't know I had to actually give the exact 3.2 or 3.4 million it sold on its original run. But it's still one of the lower selling 3D Zelda games. That's what I said.
Begin corrections music.
No, there's no.
Well, no, because I got one now. I got one specifically for you.
Okay.
Damiani.
What is this?
The development time of Majora's Mask was 1 year. I was correct in my assertion.
Nice.
What did I say differently?
You said 2 years.
I said less than 2 years.
You said 2 years.
Oh,
Less than 2 years.
And it was only 1. I think I have to make that correction because that is
talking
crazy.
about?
That game happened in 1 year.
What's your source? Because they started development during the final part of Ocarina of Time.
You're counting.
Because
You're counting Ura. You're counting
that stuff counts too because it got
No, it
rolled
doesn't.
in.
No,
all
it doesn't
all
count
that
as Majora's
development.
Mask. That doesn't count. Majora's Mask was made in 1 year.
Zelda Gaiden, whatever.
Okay.
They
and
said-
corrections music.
Miyamoto challenged them to make a Zelda game in 1 year, but it didn't take 1 year.
It did. They made that game in 1 year.
No.
Oh my goodness. We're gonna have to do this again next week.
If you go get
Is this a correction challenge?
It's a correction challenge.
It is.
Our first ever.
Have we had those before?
No. So now we'll have to come back next week
when
with
Ocarina of Time was
sources.
done in November of 1998, so in November of 1999, why was Majora's Mask not out if it took 1 year?
Because they didn't start
held
on
on to it. They
Majora's
held on
Mask.
to it.
Oh my god.
They held on to it for a year.
Yes. They didn't start Majora's Mask immediately. They started Ura Zelda. And it's just like, oh, we got to do this master quest.
No, you're 100% wrong because Ura Zelda was supposed to be for the 64 DD, and that got canceled ahead of time.
Right.
When Ocarina of Time was supposed to be a disc drive game,
And so they
converted it to a cartridge game. Yeah, your timetables are a little wrong.
Yours is the worst.
No.
Yep. Okay, so we got.
Didn't Zelda actually come out in Japan though?
Technically, no.
It never did.
There's stuff out there. There's the beta Ocarina of Time quest that's on the game. That's the remains and leftovers of it that you can access using. There's a debug cartridge that people got. They were able to access it.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to keep track of what was actually released on the disc drive in Japan.
There's
I know the F-Zero track editor.
Mario Artist.
There are some hilarious
yeah.
comments last week of people empathizing for Brandon over his boredom of us just constantly talking
Well,
about it.
you had me with baseball, and then you got into basketball, and now something Nintendo did 20 years ago. I like the people notice. I like the people notice because it's one shot, so it's kind of nice. You get the wide where you can just kind of know. You go to face by face, and it's like, yeah, Blood's not into this one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mark has gotten into trouble a few times over that.
Oh yeah, falling asleep. Yeah.
If you'll give me a little nudge, right?
When it's time to let's talk about. Well, I mean, hey, we have a game announcement.
Oh my God.
You know I love game
What
announcements.
do we announce? Which one?
Just Cause 3
Ah.
announced officially this week.
He's been waiting on
Why?
this.
Why? Just cause.
Oh man, is that what you've been waiting for? Have you been holding on in your back pocket?
I never hold on to that joke. I say that joke all the time when I play that game.
Brandon, are you satisfied with what you see?
So satisfied.
Great.
Nothing
so
like
satisfied.
flying in the sky on a propane tank.
I remember playing GoldenEye way back in the day, and they talked about Perfect Dark, and they were like, just wait. You play GoldenEye, just wait for Perfect Dark. And it's like, I don't need this amazing game you guys are talking about. I just need more GoldenEye. I literally need, and this was like before expansions. Like, you couldn't get like expansions to a 64 game. And I'm like, that's what I wanted. I'm like, I want a content update. Like, I would have been more excited for maps coming to that than any, Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 game like I've ever played. So that's how I feel about Just Cause 3. It's like, I just want, he's going, what, a new area? Great, sold.
Yeah.
I don't even care if that game looks any better than Just Cause 2. It does not. Like, any tree that I see that looks better is going to be a bonus. Like, that game is just fun in all caps, capital F, capital U, capital N. It just, it's like, I hear people just like, oh, the story or whatever. It's like, I don't even care. Like, there doesn't even need to be dialogue in that game. Like, no pedestrian needs to make a single sound. It's just like, it is so much fun to do anything.
So explain that game. Yeah, to someone who's not familiar with the series, what is Just Cause?
So they tried to make this like kind of edgy, government conspiracy action adventure game in the early era of. Did that come out on PlayStation 3 or was that just 360?
Just Cause 1?
Yeah, was that?
Oh, the first one.
Because that was really early. That was like in the Condemned days of like the 360.
I know about 2.
Right.
I mean, I didn't play a lot of it, but I know about it.
It had what like Sleeping Dogs had, or like Pursuit Force. It had this early like car jumping mechanics. Like, you're attaching yourself to vehicles, and that's like, oh, that's really fun. And then in 2, they added the grappling hook, and the grappling hook. I mean, I'm a big Batman fan, so like obviously, this like plays into my gaming addiction psychosis.
Just a grappling hook. I mean, you can grapple.
You can hook different things together
onto a propane tank.
Shoot the propane
light
tank.
the propane tank and shoot the soldier into the sky.
You can jump onto a 747 and wait until it takes off, and then hop into it, throw out the pilot, and then fly a 747. You can do that to anything. Like, the feeling like when I'm flying a plane and then I'll see another plane that like is gonna fly underneath me, and I jump out of the plane that I'm in, grapple onto that plane in mid-flight, like, it's tough. I've tried to do it like 50 times and done it like twice. But like, when you actually do that,
cool.
it's one of those things. No other game does that anywhere. It doesn't matter what country is making video games. That game doesn't exist. They're the only team doing it. And so to know that like they're clearly making Just Cause 3, but like they couldn't say it, and then finally like, oh, it's finally here. Yes.
Blood, you seem excited even.
Yeah, I mean, I've never actually. I got to see some presentations of Just Cause 2. I never actually got to play the final game like a dummy, but. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a very cool, very fun game where, total sandbox. I think maybe the closest thing I would compare it to stuff that I have played all the way through is like Far Cry 3. Where you just have this big island, like, okay, go tackle some guys.
Big island. Big island. Like, I don't know geography. It's always hard to tell. There's no way to measure, like, games, like, actually the distance. Like, we just let developers tell us, like, oh, it's 3 times bigger than that. And, like, that's how we know.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be interesting to try to, like, actually measure, like,
the
actual distance of these places.
Having that open world plus all this, like, physics-enabled stuff, more or less, it's just... Yeah, it's a party.
It was one of those demos. You could play the demo for hours.
Yeah.
Not to mention the PC version, which they hacked and got like 50 people playing all at once, which I never got a chance to experience, but I've seen a bunch of videos of. Yeah.
So there's a funny second story to Just Cause 3.
Okay.
So we didn't talk about it on the show, but last week some screenshots were leaked of Just Cause 3. Very, very early looking. It looked a little jaggy and nasty. However, these screenshots showed a system for microtransactions within the game. Where just like, hey, you can buy this car with this many diamonds. With the announcement this week, Avalanche co-founder and CCO Christopher Sundberg made very clear, direct quote, those leaked screenshots were taken from an ancient version of Just Cause 3. No microtransactions are going to be in this game. This is a game you buy in a box and you have it. Are you all excited about that?
I am proud of him for making that announcement. I'm proud of them for getting out there immediately, being like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I just make that very clear.
It did. It made like the announcement a little stinky. I was nervous about it. When it finally was announced, I thought, oh man, this is the microtransactions game. And I'm so happy they've just said, no, ancient version of that game even. Use the word ancient, which I think is really funny. Damiani, are microtransactions going to become ancient?
Become ancient?
Yeah, are they dying or are they prevailing? Are they going to exist forever?
I mean, I think they're going to always exist in some form. It's just, I think the fear was that the game was going to be free to play with only microtransactions. Is what a lot of the the extreme people were like, oh no, damn it, it's another like
me who played that demo for
game.
hours. Right, I played that game for free basically.
Yeah,
right.
and my thoughts on that, it can be best summed up by the recent South Park episode that covered freemium games. It was like, nope, like it's all like a scam to get like people who are addicted to playing games and stuff to like pay the most amount of money and stuff, and it just exploits like gamers. But I do think that there's going to be some types of microtransactions always present. You're going to have the like DLC. That's always going to be there. That's never going away.
DLC is not a microtransaction.
The
I'm talking about
booster pack thing is what you're talking about.
very specifically
okay.
things that you could get in the game normally, you can get faster by using real life money.
Okay, so that stuff is probably always going to be attempted. I think people are going to get fed up with it. I think what it will settle on is strictly superficial stuff. Kind of like what some of the other free-to-play games do, the more competitive ones do, the esports stuff.
Oh, like skins.
They do, well, I guess League doesn't do it, but like Dota does it. They just do like skins and stuff. Like that's strictly all they do. I think that will be acceptable. And then I think that's about like where it's going to settle. When you have to start paying microtransactions to get either like booster stuff to like double experience, you got to wait. You either wait an hour before you can like drive this car, or you can pay now to get more gas or something like that type of crap. Like I think people are just gonna get fed up with that. There won't be enough people who are willing to pay for that down the line, and they shouldn't do that.
That's the thing, though. I think it's just like somebody sets a bucket out, and if you're dumb enough to drop money in it, then they'll take it. Like I feel like that's kind of where it's at. Because like for me, like I think they're even in Assassin's Creed Rogue, but I can't even remember because what I do is I see this in a menu. And I'm like, oh, that's gross. And then I ignore it because I'm never going to pay for it. And then after a while, I completely forget it even exists.
So you genuinely feel that your game is not affected by these microtransactions being implemented?
If it is, then I'm experiencing whatever that game is without them.
Yeah, so Brennan, you just played through Assassin's Creed Unity, which it has those, you can buy little points and you could upgrade things with that. Did that affect your opinion of the game at all?
I feel no need for that crap in an Assassin's Creed game. I don't even understand why I'm buying weapons to begin with. I don't know what difference it makes.
It's kind of
right.
true.
I guess that's the big, not issue, but that's like where I stand with it, was that it never... I understand that that's stupid. Like, if you're not into a game, the whole free-to-play concept of like, there definitely get mobile games that I've played for free that I'm just like, I get frustrated with because the growth takes just forever, like unless you like actually put in money. But whenever I play console games that have, purchasing stuff like that, Grand Theft Auto Online totally has it. You can get all the, you can't get experience, like you still got to level up that way, but you can get cars and apartments and stuff like that. You can like put down real money. And I didn't want to do that. I'm like, I want to just play Grand Theft Auto Online and actually get to the point where like I don't need to do that. And then one day I was like, and I put $20 in. I will never have to do it ever again. I bought the best apartment in the game. I got a really nice car, and I'm like, I'm done. That to me is worth $20. I just kind of bought like a $20 apartment car expansion to Grand Theft Auto 5. And like that worked for me, so I'm glad that was there.
No, Brendan, you spent $20 on a digital apartment in a video game.
Totally worth it.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I can't.
Who can say if it's worth it or not?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean,
that's what's complicated
all home
about
was
this. Yeah.
buying
I've spent
apartments
more
and
than
clothes.
$20 on Disney Infinity. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but then you get cool figurines. You get actual things.
Digital things to me in this day and age can be as important, if not more important, than real things sometimes.
I think that's true of many
It's
people.
all the question of your perspective.
Yeah. That's so strange. So, would you ever see yourself buying things in Assassin's Creed Unity? You see the sword and you're like, man, I can just get that sword now.
No, because it's like like with GTA, I had money, so it was like I have all these options of what I can do with this now. Mm-hmm. Whereas like a sword, like it better be like a really, really, really cool sword.
Yeah, I think it's a cool sword.
Even Assassin's Creed 4, like you did a bunch of quests and you got the gunblade thing where like you stab a guy and then you shoot him. I wouldn't pay for that. That's as cool as a sword gets in Assassin's Creed.
But it's something that that kind of material will probably be in a Game of the Year edition, or probably in like a best sellers edition or something like that. So like I think it's something that companies are always going to be thinking of when they make a game. It's kind of like, okay, what are our giveaway? What's our GameStop giveaway going to be? How do all that stuff factor in?
Yeah.
And for me, cosmetically, I remember one quote that will always crack me up. When I play World of Warcraft, they had their first mount you could just buy, and the only way you could get it is if you paid money, and it was $20.
Yeah.
And I didn't get one because I did get one because I wanted to get the 100 mounts achievement. When you got 100 mounts, you got a specific flying mount, and I was like, oh my god, I want that dragon. So I did that thing, and I had to finagle some stuff to make that happen. But other friends who were in my guild, when we'd be like waiting to go on raids, our guild leaders like, I literally see you standing on a $20 bill. That should be the actual animation.
But
it's like
this
you.
this kind of segues into the Witcher announced the 16 whatever pieces of free DLC that you're going to get in The Witcher 3, and and they're doing that as kind of a counter to this because they think it's all stupid. And one of the things they put in there to kind of rub it in is you're going to get horse armor.
Free horse armor.
You're going to get free horse armor in The Witcher 3.
It's perfect.
As well as haircuts
so
and some other stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
but that's a good thing. It's a good opportunity for developers to not do this stuff, and then they look like heroes.
Yeah, that's the thing is, this metaphorical bucket, Damiani, the bucket they're putting out, does it make a game look cheap? Does it make it look like a person who's putting a bucket out on a sidewalk?
I mean, I don't know if I could speak to that. My issue with all this is straight up, if it's something I can get in the game and you sell it, I think that's bullshit. Should not be able to do that. That sucks. That pisses me off. That makes me think that you're ripping me off or making the game experience cheapened if you do that. If you're selling something you absolutely cannot get in the game whatsoever, by beating a boss, by completing
mount.
something. Yeah, in 14, there's a mount too. You cannot get that any other way except for buying it. So be it. That's fine. Let people buy what they want to buy like that. I have no problem. It doesn't irk me as much when it's single player only because it's all right, if you want to pay to beat the single player game, then do it. Or I have an issue is when it comes into multiplayer experiences. Even if I have an option, I just never want to see microtransactions. Just turn them off. But if I'm playing with people who they got triple experience boost on right now, it's well, they have an unfair advantage because they are paying more than me. It's that sucks.
They're drinking more Mountain Dew than you are.
I don't know how many games do that necessarily. I don't know the total number out there, but that's the worst. When games start doing that, I will refuse. I'm not gonna play that game. That's crap. I don't want to play where people can pay to have an advantage over me. That's who would want to play that type of game?
Lots of people.
I mean, apparently there are, but that's crap.
One of the other things too, and this is again me just being focusing way too much on theme, but if it's an open world crime drama that focuses on money, it bothers me less. You know what I mean? It makes sense. It's like when they come out with a new vehicle, some new expansion, and they're like, oh, and you can now buy this new vehicle that's millions of dollars in GTA Online. And that thing comes out, and I'm like, oh, I want to try these new races. And I get into the race, and every guy that I'm in the race with has that vehicle, and it's some cool color. So it's that was expensive that all these guys did. They either put in a ridiculous amount of time into the game, or they spent money to do that. I mean, that's San Andreas, baby. It's if I see somebody that's oh, I have a really nice gun, and it's oh, well, that guy just has a lot of money. It's that makes sense to me in GTA, and it actually would make sense in Just Cause. It's oh, you have a really fancy jet, you must be rich. Yeah, it's
I stole it. I got in a helicopter and I used my magical grappling hook to steal this jet. And Just Cause. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about
How funny would it be if you could permanently steal something from another player that bought it?
You absolutely should be able to. In Grand Theft Auto?
There should be a mode. Yeah, there should be a mode. That'd be cool.
Good.
Yeah.
I would like that.
We had another big announcement. Of course, this is last week's news, so I don't want to talk about it too much. Overwatch was announced immediately after we stopped recording last week. Blood gives 2 thumbs up to Overwatch. He's smiling.
This game is great. Holy cow.
And you haven't even played it. You weren't even.
No, I haven't played it. But the funny thing is oh my gosh, is Battleborn just eating dirt right now?
So actually, yeah, hold on. This is a.
Do you love that? Do you want them to eat dirt, Blood?
I want to do a new quick little segment. We'll do this now because Blood brought it up. This is called Yes or No and Why. I want a yes or no answer and very quickly why. A question from Frasa Phrase. Will Blizzard's Overwatch overshadow Gearbox's Battleborn? Brandon, yes or no and why?
Yes, because Blizzard has a lot of outreach and a lot of really, really rabid fans and tons of money.
Blood, yes or no and why?
Yes, because Overwatch already shows more personality, and Battleborn very much looks like it's just trying to copy a Blizzard style.
Damiani, yes or no and why?
Yes, and they pretty much said everything that needs to be said about it.
Yeah.
And other than that, I just don't really know much about the Battleborns.
They
Yeah,
did play
exactly.
very
Whatever.
So we got
differently.
three
Let me
yeses.
put that out there, that they are, like, from a gameplay standpoint, they are very different games.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they look very similar. They're both essentially hero shooters, to quote Gearbox's term.
But it makes so much more sense for Blizzard to steal the hype, because for Gearbox to do that, it's like, oh, okay, I get that. I see what Gearbox is doing with man, when they announced that, it was like, okay, wait, let me wrap my brain around this. First of all, you're making a new game. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're making this crazy, like, for kids superhero vibe of a what? I want everything. I want books in this universe. I want a movie.
Sure,
like,
absolutely.
You worked on it that much.
And for
we
the
can
record,
play it right now. Like, it's just it's a huge announcement. So I think that hype comes from that.
We owe Bloodworth 50 genius points for predicting a new IP from Blizzard.
Yeah, I failed.
That was last week. Blood predicted it.
But it factors into the bets.
We
too.
all called him an
it's-
idiot. We said
yeah.
you're a dumb idiot for guessing that, and he's like, no, I
you
think
tell
so.
me?
I believe I used the words dumb idiot.
Yeah, I think we all did. Yeah.
It just seemed like a no-brainer. to
We
me.
called you a moron buffoon, and we said get out. And
You go
said,
out
"No,
there
I'm
a couple of weeks before BlizzCon talking about how you canceled your most anticipated game and you don't have anything to back it up. I mean,
He read between the lines.
But that stuff has happened. It's just not with Blizzard.
So I do want to talk about this announcement in general. They saved it for BlizzCon. They saved it for their own huge event. I think that's a big deal. Do you think that's a good decision? I mean, not a lot of companies can do this, but do you think like more companies should?
Yes, it's overhyping me beyond belief for PSX.
Right.
Because it's like,
Similarly,
they're
their
starting
own
to
event.
do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again, it's like what you've been seeing, unfortunately, with our trade being having the game trailers on our own, specific website, our own little corner of the internet. A lot of guys are like, we can just have our own YouTube channel. Screw you guys.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the same thing where they're like, why do we don't need to go. We'll go to E3. We'll go to your events, but like those big announcements, we're gonna make. When we don't have to, it's like Xbox when they announced the Xbox. They had the people in the back of the theater that were like, "Woo!" They're like over cheering for like every announcement. They're like, we don't want to have to fake that. We want, if we're going to announce this thing, we want. Yeah, selfishly, it's like I want all the Blizz fans. I want the Horde. I want my Horde buddies in the room when we announce this crazy new IP. I don't want to do it at some event where there could be some weird press people there that like don't care. It's like, nope, everybody. Yeah. Everybody
is a
was
fan
in that room.
In this room.
Everybody, the camera people. It's like there's nobody in that room that didn't just crap their pants.
And Blizzard hasn't gone to E3 forever, so
yeah,
they've basically. It's like, no, we're gonna have our own spotlight.
When Final Fantasy XIV announced theirs, that was at their own event, right? That was at when that trailer premiered.
That was during one of the major press conferences, Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
No. I mean, their recent expansion. What was it called?
Oh, Heaven's Ward.
Heaven's
That
Ward.
was at their own event.
That was at their own events.
Yeah.
I feel like these events are cool. I really like these events. I'm excited about PlayStation Experience as well. I think it's like a good venue. As you said, it's fans. It's a crowd full of fans.
But people are just going to start having events we're going to go to and nothing's going to happen. We're going to be like,
Yeah.
you burnt me because I thought it'd be another PSX.
Well, that already kind of happens with all the
That'd be
smaller things.
No,
yeah.
totally.
What's an example of that?
How many times have I gone to see The Crew, man?
The crew,
How many times?
The crew is stuffed with microtransactions. Oh man! While we're back on that,
Good loop.
You're gonna be able to buy little parts in crew. And it's
Yeah,
like,
but
I don't
Overwatch, man. That game's looking sweet. Like every character feels different and distinct, and they all have weirdo abilities. And I mean,
Do we think this will be a free-to-play game? Have they made an announcement?
They have not said anything.
I think they've been real cagey about it.
I talked to
Yeah.
Ben,
Any
and he
idea
said they
how
didn't
this
say
will-
anything
Yeah.
about it. But it seems like after Hearthstone proved that they could do that model, I wouldn't be surprised if they go with that.
I'm definitely thinking it will be.
I also think that this is a good chance for them to actually go on a multi-platform. They haven't been doing a whole lot of stuff on consoles other than Diablo, so I think this is something they can spread out a little bit more.
And Diablo did very well on consoles,
Yeah.
surprisingly, sales-wise, just crushed it.
And the focus on characters makes it feel like free to play. Because they're like, look at all the different people you can be.
Oh, it's a real MOBA-esque
More
type.
coming
Yeah,
soon.
yeah, I get that. Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
I could see them easily just like, that's what they did. I mean, like, Hearthstone, more cards. You know? World of Warcraft, more classes, more races. So more characters.
Heroes and more cool gadgets for them and everything.
What are the bad guys called? The good guys are Overwatch. What are the bad guys?
They're bad guys?
I don't know that there are bad. I mean, it's a competitive
Sort of like
shooter. So
But wasn't Overwatch was good. Those are like the Jedi, right? Like they had like a group. They're like the Justice
I don't
League.
know. It's weird because like they did set it up that way with the trailer, but from what it seemed from the gameplay, it was still just like here's a bunch of unique
It's got to be a
guys.
Hydra. There's got to be something.
That guy who like shoots in the smoke with multiple guns, he's the bad guy, I guess. Yeah. I think they're all the same team.
Which that's on a cooldown, right? Because I mean, you're just gonna spam that button.
That's a super.
nonstop.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
super.
they're like these super ability things. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, great announcement, great venue for the announcement. It's really a great way to do that. Oh, we have another announcement. Okay, what?
Game trailers. Awesome trailer. It's a trailer, man. It's that trailer.
Oh, that trailer was incredible.
You're talking about an announcement. That announcement was that trailer.
Yes.
You were watching a trailer, my friend.
This is the first time yeah. No hidden, just like we're announcing
Those
something
kids
soon.
just like wandered away from that TV and it said Blizzard Entertainment. It's like,
Yeah.
that's the good stuff. I love that. I just love that feeling. I love that just hypodermic needle of hype. Just,
And for the people who are paying
like
$40
everyone's-
to stream it, it was so worth it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Hyperbolic. Just yeah, exactly. Gosh, what an event. What a thing to do that live.
It's good.
Not even a hint. We're
need
gonna
that.
have a big announcement.
I need those trailer fixes.
Yeah.
We're gonna do.
That was cool.
Let's all go to the trailers today or tomorrow. I'm like, gee, I wonder what trailer of the week's gonna be.
No question. No question. Well, maybe
Trailer
somebody.
of last week, technically.
Big announcement this morning. Strange one. Sony announces PlayStation View, which is like their own Netflix.
I have not looked into this at all, so you need to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to explain after looking over this article 3 times. So what it is, it's like a cable alternative. They have a few content providers on board: CBS, Fox, Viacom, Discovery Communications, NBC Universal, and Scripps Network Interactive, who's like a Food Network and stuff like that. So it's like Hulu, it's like Netflix with these TV networks. However, it works like a DVR basically. Obviously fictional DVR. It's not real, but basically you tag shows that you want recorded for you, and then you have access to those shows. And I think that is the deal.
So, but is it on demand or is it actually like recording the shows?
It's pretending to record
PlayStation?
shows.
Okay.
And yeah, you can still like on demand get like the last 3 weeks, but if you want a series, you got to tag that series. And I think that's what the content providers like. I think that's why they're saying yes to PlayStation View, is that it's like, oh, okay, so they're picking our show. Instead of going to Hulu, where I can see Hulu Plus in this case, I can pull any episode of any show I want. In this case, I'd be tagging the shows. Like I'm tagging South Park. I'm tagging the Mindy Project.
You're liking it or following it on Facebook.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
And I think that's what they like. I think that's what weird loophole they got to like get all these people on board. Is this something to be excited about?
I feel like there's a lot. I mean, what is Crackle? Because I know Crackle exists. I know
Crackle is also Sony.
Video Unlimited exists.
Crackle's mostly movies, but yeah, also TV shows.
So did Sony Games announce this or just Sony?
Sony announced this, and it's called PlayStation View. That's the other interesting thing.
Is it a thing or is it just on PS4?
It is also on iOS. How crazy is that?
Oh, so it's an app, so I can.
You can watch these TV shows that you're tagging on your
So instead
phone,
of
iPad,
going
or
to the
PlayStation
ABC
4.
app, I go to their app to watch my ABC show.
but you can
ABC
subscribe to this instead of cable.
ABC not on
don't
board,
have
by
to
the
have
way,
a
not one of those
cable.
networks.
Right, but I mean, there
yeah.
are networks probably on board that also have their own apps. So it's like,
Yeah, but nobody does that. Nobody has an NBC app. I think you have Netflix or you have Hulu. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's competing with those.
Okay.
That is its competition. I think they look at their numbers. Why are all these people on their PS4s looking at Netflix? We need this.
Yeah,
I think
right.
that's basically what started this.
sure, yeah, totally.
Damiani is shaking his head, does not like PlayStation View.
I think it's just pointless.
It's not
It's
pointless.
pointless.
What makes it pointless?
Fighting against Netflix and Hulu at this point, like I don't care what they're
Futile.
doing, it's futile. Like everyone's is on board with those. Like
Yeah.
everyone thought Netflix was screwed when they were losing all those deals, and they had the blunder where they were going to split the company.
Into Flixster.
They were so quick to like undo that,
Yep.
and then reassure people like, hey, we're losing all these people, but just give us like time. They lost some subscribers, but then all of a sudden they got all these deals again, and now they have like more subscribers than ever. It's like, no. And then like Hulu's right behind it, like with like all the television speciality.
Yeah.
And then even right after that, it's Amazon Prime, and then you have like Google Play. Like
Forgot about Amazon Prime.
There's already
Absolutely, yeah.
enough players in there. Like
There's a ton of players.
these are just people just seeing the giant pie, and like I just want a piece of it, but don't realize like so much of it is already gobbled up that there's like only table scraps left. Like they don't realize that they're too late to the party. On
Brandon,
this.
is there no hope
Is there no hope for View?
for PlayStation View?
Well, hope for what? What's the fail state of View? Like, what's the time to pull View?
That would be it. That's the fail state, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how they kept Home for how long? Like,
Home made money. Home was actually very profitable.
well, this will make money too.
You think so?
Yeah, it's like a service, man. It's not.
Yeah.
There's no. Yeah, it's. I don't think this is a huge
But
strain for them.
did they give any kind of pricing details? Like, what does it cost to use this thing?
Competitive pricing. That's all they've said. We will have competitive pricing. Oh, Blood shakes his head.
Is this like the PlayStation Now or whatever, the rental service competitive
That is
pricing?
not competitive pricing. Yeah. Blood, what would it-
How does this? I don't understand. Like, does this sit alongside, or does this roll in the stuff they already have on PlayStation Store? Because there's already tons of movies and things.
Yeah. You just won't buy individuals. You pay a monthly fee for access to PlayStation.
I can see this
yeah.
being a huge win only because I just bought a television. I'm thinking about this, but like if it's like a prepackaged TV thing, so like you get your Sony TV, you get your, like any Sony thing you buy is just View, all over it.
Yeah.
So there's no. So like they're the ones controlling the apps now on their own television. So
And again, like when you're
Netflix and all that's probably going away, and it's just gonna be View. Like.
Yeah, there's all these random questions. So when you tag something, is it actually saving a file to your PS4 hard drive and taking up that space?
No,
or are you streaming it?
They say we're cloud saving it to your cloud DVR, which is nonsense. That's like total nonsense. That's utter nonsense. But it's just like, our dads are like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I got a DVR in my house and they have a cloud DVR. It's like, no. But that's how they want you to think about it, basically.
Okay.
I just picture elves on clouds, like, bringing the episodes over in a little plastic case.
Man, that's what that is. That is what PlayStation View. Clearly, not a lot of enthusiasm over here, but as Brandon says, it might work out.
Because I can still get my stuff the way I want to get it. Like, here's a new way you can maybe get some stuff that you kind of maybe want to watch sometime. Like, that's not an announcement. That's not something that,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I may just wake up one day and, oh yeah, I've been using View for the last 2 months. Whatever.
You
But
know
it's
what's
not
absurd,
something
though?
that I'm like,
Is like
let's spend 5 more minutes talking about this.
USA Today goes nuts for this, though. USA Today is
it
like,
makes
this
sense
is huge.
because it's relevant. It's what
Yeah.
they understand. It's
Yeah.
Netflix and all that. It's like that's the only news stories you hear of mainstream media from games. Where
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it's sold how many copies?
Media partnerships?
Oh, Kevin Spacey's in it?
Oh my
okay.
gosh, you're so right. That is exactly what that is. We got a next news story. This one's fun. Jeff Keighley announces the Game Awards.
Yeah, which we've had to be quiet about for a while. People are asking us about VGAs on one of the streams. We're like, I don't know what's happening with the VGAs because this other thing is happening that I can't talk about.
But good opener. Not the VGAs.
Yeah.
Not the VGAs.
Yes,
Not
so-
the replacement for the VGAs. Nothing to do with the VGAs.
A whole other thing.
At all.
The Game
People
Awards.
are still going to say it.
So
but
what are they? What are the Game Awards?
I will find out on when games rise.
Yeah.
But what he announced, though, what was interesting is that, like, he made a big deal of announcing that, like, hey, everybody's on board with this. Like, Nintendo's in
Yeah,
on
oh,
this.
yeah.
Sony's in on this. Microsoft's in on this. EA, Ubisoft, like, that's the thing. Like, he seems to still be wanting to make a unified public, like, Oscar-level type of thing. And I'm curious how different it's going to be without Spike being involved. Without having to have the Jersey Shore guys on stage giving awards out. Like this, I'm curious to see what Jeff can do on his own, and I don't know who else he's working with to actually produce this thing, but it's interesting.
The one thing that I've seen from Jeff Keighley, working with him professionally when I was at Viacom, that guy does not mess around. Like that guy's not like he's just not. He doesn't waste time. He's there to focus on what needs to be focused on. So like I wasn't really surprised when I found he just like got some email one day where he's just like, hey, doing a show. I'm like, oh, okay.
I love it. He went rogue.
Cool. Yeah, do it.
Keighley went rogue.
Even says like in the invitation that we got, it's just like produced by Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
Like, oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Put on a good show.
Damiani, what are your hopes for this event?
I mean, yeah, I just hope it's a little bit more classier than probably what he had to put up with when working on the VGAs and /VGX. It seemed like though he had like a lot of like sway with that. It felt like probably he had to deal with like advertisers and then other executive producers who were like, we want you to have Joel McHale on here with you. And it's like
musical guests.
like musical guests. Like I remember that I think there was a time when I think maybe like back in the day Shane actually said like when he was defending the VGAs, said like the type of award show that like people like that were on YouTube and stuff were like yelling at the VGAs about like why can't you be classier? It's like that type of like Oscar style show will get no ratings on television. No one will want to watch that, so that's why we have to have all like the circus going on because that gets the ratings, that gets the sponsors to come, that gets the advertisers to come, and sadly that's like this the necessary evil. And there was like a lot of backlash like driven by that. I think now that he's like on his own it'll be nice to see if he can like do that as well. I did read the Variety the article where they had like the exclusive revealing it, and it said there's still gonna be like game reveals, like there's gonna be that type of stuff still there.
Yeah.
So I hope it is just more tasteful. Now that he has full say on it, I think he has all those years of experience of producing all those and having to deal with some of that crap. He's probably gonna make like the show that like he always wanted to, and hopefully it's the show that.
But it's the same weekend as PSX, which was not a coincidence.
Everyone's in town.
Everyone's in town. You know, it's
Yeah.
like I've been
He's selling tickets to the public.
That's another huge thing about this.
Yeah.
Anyone can. It's another for fans. That audience will be only fans, not just
It
a bunch
won't
of
be a
weird
bunch of
Hollywood
guys
people.
hired to fill in a crowd.
Yeah. Which is
Which
a
we
huge,
got to see the behind the scenes of like everybody clap when this happens, and it was like, oh gosh.
The guy is a Jedi master at giving people in this industry a venue to talk about their stuff.
Yeah.
You know, giving them a stage.
One thing he constantly says is, "Look what I did with Last of Us Live. I want that to be this." You know, and that was Last of Us Live was a mature, respectful thing. You know. Blood. Before we move on, I really want more specificity about that moment where they said, "Please clap when this happens." What do you mean?
I mean, it was a production. It was in a studio,
so
on a studio lot, and there were a bunch of people. I mean,
What
like
year is this?
we had to distinguish ourselves most of the years.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I've been to 5 or so of these things. But you know, it's like we had to distinguish ourselves with our tickets as somebody that was not a seat filler. You know, like, and if we got up to go to the bathroom, you know, sometimes you'd come back and somebody would be sitting in your seat and have to get your seat back. And you know, I mean, it was a production. It was made for the cameras. And this will have a real audience, and it will have to have a different focus. And I think that's the thing. It's like, you know, I think as Mike was saying, yes, you know, it's going to have some kind of spectacle to it. It's going to have to be a show to a degree to be interesting to get an audience. But I think the difference is it needs to be an audience of people that love games and not trying to bring in all of these guys that are just like, it's like, oh yeah, I play Call of Duty once in a while, you know, in my frat house, and
Yeah, I think the one thing that people are maybe missing is that like there are people you could bring on that would bring in big numbers digitally online that aren't necessarily Joel McHale or aren't necessarily like Johnny Depp or something like what are you doing here, like that are fun, like professional gamers or developers or something, like even just a ton of crazy developers, like even if they just walk on stage and just say like, hey, I'm gonna have a fun announcement at, you know, E3 next year or something like that, just anything, like any sign that like, yay, we're all here, like to celebrate.
But we don't need Fruit Ninja, whatever double dare happening backstage in the other room, you know? Don't need to cut away to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What was I don't know. We don't need to hit VGAs any harder. Now it's time for our new segment. Well, you're the one who started this conversation. This was a popular comment from Jake_WK. A lot of people are just like, yeah, I support this, so let's talk about this. So yeah, you asked for it, you started this conversation. Here's the comment. With the digital age becoming more and more prominent, and the video game industry being very fast-paced, yet so young, how will we solve the issue of game preservation? With movies and music, I can go back to any era and view or listen to anything of my choice. However, with the way video games work, running on very dedicated hardware, it's a lot harder. Unless we want to fork out the money and effort to find an old school console, some games are forever lost in the past. We've seen some games manage to emulate classics with Virtual Console and PS Store, but there are still hundreds and hundreds of games that may never see the light of day again. Otherwise, a very exclusive video game issue. That's what we want to talk about. How do we deal with this issue of games getting lost to time, whereas it does not as prominent with film and TV?
Well, you can't go back and listen to every song or movie or like there are films and they're gone. So like that does happen in other mediums. So like,
but not from 20 years ago.
No, yeah. I don't know. It's like you look at something like Master Chief Collection, where it's kind of become like a new thing now. So I think like as we're moving forward, hopefully that'll get easier. Maybe like somebody can actually market like making a Commodore 64 collection, and having it available on Steam or something like that. And like actually it's like, oh, it's worth to put in the time and effort because I can get the word out there and drum up excitement for this. I can make a Kickstarter for it or something and like get people involved. So I think I don't think there's a point of no return. I don't think there's a point where we're going to hit where we're just like, well, now we have all the money in the world and we just can't make that game. It's just gone. You know, it's like, it's code. It's got to be somewhere. Like, as long as there's like a copy of it that one person has.
Blood Smurfs.
It's the cloud. The cloud will
Smurfs.
save us, right? It's
Yeah.
all in the cloud, right?
Is it all in the cloud, Blood? Is it all safe?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. This is something I've always been like concerned about, and I'm, was very happy with, when the Virtual Console got announced and the fact that it wasn't just Nintendo things, but they had Commodore 64 on there, and they had MSX and Genesis, and it's just like, this is amazing, And the promise of that, not only wasn't it really fulfilled because of the weird delayed releases and things like that, and how long it took things to come out. But it's also, man, it's gotten so muddled up with all of this rights stuff and
I think
things
rights
getting
is a big
pulled off
barrier.
of the service and all of this, and it's weird and it's annoying and it's kind of like scary for like somebody that does want to have those things preserved. And that was the thing that I love about Virtual Console. It's like, no, this isn't the prettied up Master Chief Collection version. Like, this is it. That we're like putting it out on an emulator, and like the lines are gonna blink and disappear and all of this. It's going to be exactly the way it was, as close as possible to the NES, except for like Wave Race, where they replaced the Kawasaki logo or something, and put like Wii ads into it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But for the most part, like, this is the game that you played, and I love that about Virtual Console, and I would love to see that continue. But I feel like Nintendo missed the boat with like the generational switch, and like now, if you bought all these games on the Wii, you kind of own them on the Wii U, but you have to go into the Wii mode, and now they're re-releasing them to be compatible with the gamepad, and you have to pay more money for them again. And it's just really weird, and I would just love to see all of that catalog continue and get expanded. But there's a lot of games that are still not there, not going to happen. You're probably not going to see, like, Super Star Wars or something get re-released again.
No way.
Just, like, go back in time.
I mean, maybe. Good Old Games is another place where that's happening.
Oh, and they just released TIE Fighter.
Yeah, so, it's not a lost cause, but there are some games that are harder than others, and then we're talking about GoldenEye. That is not likely going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
There's too many people, like, wound up in that deal. So, it's a tough thing, and a lot of people are just like, well, you can just emulate it, but it's, it would be nice to be able to get those things legitimately.
So those people who say, why don't you just emulate it? Normally I'm, against emulation. Piracy I'm against, big time. But those pirates are like saving some video games. Do you know what I mean? They're digitizing those games, and that way they'll just be saved forever. Some games are trapped on cartridges with dying batteries, you know what I mean? And it's actually best that they're on Pirate Bay, as opposed to just like stuck on cartridges in a weird way. Damiani, do you get what I mean? Is that the way to preserve games, is to upload them all onto the internet?
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say up to a certain point, I feel that like, sadly, whether you view what side of the fence you sit on with emulation, like they have done a pretty decent job of at least preserving the code of the games. You can always argue that emulation isn't perfect and stuff, but at least it's ensured as long as like the internet's around, as long as someone holds on to that giant database. Like once something's on the internet, like it doesn't go away. And like there are like official like sites now that have like old arcade, like the for MAME emulators. They have like old arcade games. They're like are official, like apparently like it's like legal now for some of those games, because like the owner's like, yeah, no one's gonna buy an arcade ever again. Like arcades are like dead. Like just put this game out there so that people can still play it. And then I mean you have like everything from that to NES to Super Nintendo up till about like once you get into the 3D game systems, that's where it starts to get a little like iffy with the emulation. As computing power gets better and people put more time into it, I'm sure those will be worked out. But the concern is always, will you be able to play the game as it originally was? And Blood already touched upon like stuff gets held up with licensing, so they can't re-release some of this stuff again to like update it for a new generation. Or if they do, they alter stuff, hopefully to something as stupid as the Kawasaki logo getting replaced with something else, and not something gameplay-wise. So once you get into like the mid to late 90s till onward, it gets a little bit iffy about how will emulators be able to preserve these games. Like Saturn was one of the most notoriously difficult systems to emulate. It doesn't like I don't think it has perfect emulation yet. So then you have these other organizations, I forget the one I'm trying to remember, they're dedicated to collecting physical copies of all of these games to preserve them, and they try and store them in special conditions and stuff so that they'll always be around and functional. and these engineers who were dedicated to understanding the inner workings of like hardware, that they could build their own emulators. Like you saw like or new systems, like the Retron 5 came out.
Yeah.
There's people like, let's engineer this stuff. It's legal. We have the rights to do this now.
Yeah.
I think where we're going to hit an issue is games are so dependent on online, like MMOs. You have private servers for some of those games that try and preserve them. But I think there's a group, it was in the news recently, that they're trying to go out and get the rights, or asking either the government or someone for permission to preserve those games that are defunct now, to get them back online and just have like a funded, like some kind of funded like system, so that the servers are always there forever.
Yeah.
So that people can always play those games.
That GameSpy mess that happened earlier this year just like knocked out so many things.
Yeah, things that will just never exist again.
Even on the Wii and 3DS, or on the original DS, you know, it's been a big deal. And I don't know, like, you'd have to follow like each one of those games individually to really know where they're at. Like, I don't know where the Battlefield games are at right now. I know I have friends that, you know, even until the beginning of this year, that's the only game he played was old Battlefield, you know, and that knocked out his whole community, and his friend had to shut down the server and everything, you know.
You know what's funny though is, part of me is not too bothered by it. Part of me who's like, I guess when you think of like theater, when you think of something that's staged, that exists for one night and that was it. And so like some art is meant to be disposed of, and it's been appreciated, and then you had it, and that was that moment. But then like, that moment existed there and will never be the same again.
I agree. Like when I was a kid, like that's like being like, well, I can't go back to that movie theater that I first saw Empire Strikes Back in. I can't wear my underoos that I wore because they don't fit anymore, or drink, you know, like the Coke with the very special Coke brew that they had in the 80s. You know, it's like there's so many things you can be like, that won't be the same again. I can't recreate that. And it's like, that's life.
Yeah, I mean,
that
is one thing with online that, yeah, I mean, there are certain things, like even if you had the servers up, like, you're never going to get another full player match of MAG. Like that's just not going to happen. Like you'd have to like really get a bunch of people together, and that would be like a weekend at best.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
That man is shaking his head. He does not agree that it's like a play.
So what Blood just said, like that's like the concern. Like I think that's more relatable to what you said about like performance, and what you said about like drinks. Like you were talking about something that's like disposable, like it has like a shelf life.
Yes.
Video game code, code doesn't have a shelf life. Batteries have a shelf life, hardware has a shelf life, but the code for a game that doesn't.
But experiences do. Like Final Fantasy 14 1.0 is gone. Gone. You don't want anyone ever to play that again. And it was kind of special the way it ended and became a new thing. It was like you had to be there. It's like Woodstock, you know, like in the Final Fantasy universe. It was like you were there for that party or you weren't.
The experience part of it I get. Like if you missed out on the experience of that, you're never getting that again. However, for the sake of preservation, like for someone just to go back and look at it, like I just want to see what this looked like. I just want to see, like not in video, but like just play it. Like everyone said this was so bad. I just wanted to like see it. Like that, having the access to that. It's like information access.
Retrospective.
Plays can be plays. You know, they're written. Like even if the performer's no longer there, that like Shakespeare stuff is endured will endure forever as long as like humanity exists.
That Shakespeare stuff.
I mean,
That's
like,
Shakespeare stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like that type of stuff is like written. That's like the game code, and so the problem is that stuff usually has become like public domain. Game stuff hasn't yet, and that's what like when Bo was talking about earlier, like licensing and stuff. Even if the code's out there, people legally can't do stuff with it to bring it back because it's holed up in so much rights, and that's what I think sucks and is different.
So you think laws need to change?
I think that would be one part to help it. Definitely is like what's happening. You were saying like well, movies in the last 20 years ago you could still watch movies tonight, but games from like 10 years ago, like what changed? In the late 90s, the copyright in the United States got like royally changed and stuff, and like they kept extending the terms so that like now like none of us are going to be like alive when like the first like like we'll be like old people when like NES games are finally like public domain if they don't extend that again and stuff like that. So
and actually there are other examples, like you want to talk about Disney.
Oh no, Mickey Mouse was the first thing I thought of.
There's so many things.
Disney should not own Mickey Mouse anymore.
You'll never see those things again if you don't have a copy of a VHS somewhere. Yeah.
Song of the South.
That vault is serious business. You talk about, I mean, to go retro back to what we were talking about before. You talk about them having like PlayStation View. If Disney was like on demand, $15 a month, everything Disney's ever done, like I would leap at that.
I'm sure they're thinking about it.
I hope they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm way down, and then you don't have to think. It's like, oh, then it's all preserved. Like again, I've talked about that before. Like I'm way down. If Sony's like, once Gaikai actually does what they were promising, like that's cool. And just to put one final thought on it from me. You think about 10 years ago when like there was no way you could digitally get a game that came out 10 years prior. Like there was no way through the actual company you could get access to something where they were like, we updated this, or we're going to re-release this and make it Monkey Island. We're actually going to redo it, and stuff like that. And so it's like we at least are, have come that far, that we're at the negotiation table where they're like, okay, we can maybe work this out in the digital world. It's just all lawyers now. It's just all like tech-wise, we can do it. We know we can. It's just a matter of like signing. It's like the Beatles on iTunes. It was like they put up billboards, and it's like all I can see is just the signature on the form. It was like, what?
Do the work. Put in the paperwork. So that is our. You're the one who started this conversation.
This very long conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for getting us on that whole thing. That was fun.
That was probably the one legitimate conversation that we had on GT Time.
And everyone was impassioned. I love that too.
Yeah.
Thank you for that suggestion. Again, that was Jake_WK. I had some more, but we're closing out our show. So please always give us more topics you'd like for us to expound upon. We have an announcement. We have a special announcement this week, courtesy of Michael Damiani.
World exclusive.
World exclusive. You heard it here on GT Time first. Go ahead, Damiani. Take the mic.
Okay, I can finally say that the Game of Thrones cast is going to be on GT Time. It didn't happen on Invisible Walls.
They can't all fit on this couch.
That was a dream, and it never happened.
Was that an actual dream in the works? Were they trying to get that happen?
The troll, as I said, like the best Invisible Walls will get so big one day that we'll have the cast of Game of Thrones and President Barack Obama on the same show.
What? And it died. Invisible Walls died before that ever happened.
It didn't happen.
Yeah. So what's going on?
In end of December, middle of December, right before Christmas, I am actually moving to Texas. So I will still be with GameTrailers. I'm not leaving GameTrailers, anything like that. Like stuff will still continue as normal as in terms of like my shows and stuff. But it will mean changes for GT Time, since I won't actually be here anymore to actually be on GT Time. So for that part of the announcement, I don't know if you guys have like decided or going to want to mention what's going on with that.
I'm going to have rotating. I'm going to have people rotate throughout the Damiani chair. There will never be in a permanent replacement, and it will be called the Damiani chair.
So
until someone just kills it. Until someone all of a sudden just quadruple downloads. Like, whoa.
Yeah, I guess that could happen. Even then, I don't know. I'm going to want to rotate it.
Like Ben Moore, who'd have thunk it,
Ooh.
Wow.
Whoa, Ben Moore killed it. Yeah, it's quadruple views. Okay, maybe. Maybe.
No, the Hunger Games idea has been scrapped.
Yeah. I don't want to like have a competition for a permanent replacement. I want to have like a rotating
That was
seat.
kind of funny.
It was funny, but it's a actual.
Why give people a reason to watch?
Yeah.
But it also like other cool stuff for us now to do. Like in January, I'm going to PAX South. So
yeah,
first
exactly.
PAX in San Antonio, Texas. So we'll actually get to cover that, and then there'll be other stuff that'll be happening there that we don't typically go to or rarely go to that we can now like cover and stuff.
GT South. We gotta.
Yeah.
We're slowly taking over the world. We sent Renee up to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
She's got that on lockdown.
She's got it locked down. Yeah.
I mean, forget IGN and GameSpot. GameSpot. She's got it. She's all over it. Anything SF related.
Yep.
And
now we're spreading to Texas.
Damiani's taking all of Texas.
Yep.
I gotta gobble it up.
Got it.
Are you going to miss GT Time?
I'm going to miss GT Time because I'm going to miss all of you. I'm going to miss Kyle doing his little opening thing.
Yep.
Because now I'm not going to get to hear you say that anymore. Well, actually, I will hear you say it. It just won't be like in person, like face to face.
Yep.
I won't get to. Yeah.
I'll you know what I'll do? I'll like maybe record it once a week and then email you like me announcing your name if that'll help.
I'll get on the phone call in the morning meeting now, which I'll be like.
Oh yeah, we'll Skype those in.
It's gonna be great because like. That's gonna be like I'm gonna be like super. It's gonna be 2 hours ahead.
Yeah.
So morning meetings are gonna be afternoon meetings, right? That'll be good though. So I'll be able to call in, and then you could do it. Actually, you could just put a phone here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you just do that part and be like, all right, bye, Damiani, and you can like hang up.
Deal. I'm perfectly fine with that.
I also just want to put out there because this hasn't been said.
Sure.
That this is great. This is good news. That you're very happy about this move.
Oh yeah, like. Yeah,
this is working out very well for you.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of like LA. Other people love LA, and if you want to move out here, like it could be great for you and stuff. But like I was generally when I moved out to California, I had like no aspirations to move into the LA area. I liked San Diego and Orange County. I was like, I want to stay there. And then sadly, I kept moving north.
LA kept dragging you
over
in.
my career out here, I just kept moving closer to LA. I was like, it's like a black hole sucking me in. I can't get away from it.
And now you're in Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills.
You still live like an hour away.
That too, but like I also don't like the general area either. Like I don't think it would have mattered if I lived closer. I like hate living in in urban city areas.
Yeah,
so I'm like
we're all
kind of
like
weird
garbage personalities here in Los Angeles. I get it. Yeah.
But hey, like we have people who follow GT Time who, when I mentioned I'd be at PAX South, I didn't announce this ahead of time. I announced I'd be at PAX South, so they assumed I was just coming out for like the event for a few days.
Yeah.
There are people who like don't come there or aren't on the West Coast who don't get to see us at like Comic-Con or PAX Prime or any of those events. We get to meet some of our people now and stuff. So
Yeah.
Can you
that's
imagine
really cool.
if we fly this guy in for E3 next year? And the triumphant return of Damiani on GT Time.
Oh, absolutely.
Big views.
And like post E3 stuff.
I'm actually
views.
I mean, yeah, I guess this is a spoiler. I mean, I'm gonna have to actually be back here because the weekend before something's going on. I have to be. I can't say what it is. It's a personal thing. It would spoil it for someone who I can't talk about.
Okay.
Okay.
There's something going on that's that's gonna be cool. I'll be here Friday and Saturday or somewhere near here, and then I'll be here. I'm gonna stay the whole week.
So many epic announcements on GT Time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay throughout the week basically.
Okay.
And yeah, and I'll be out here already. That's kind of like the plan right now.
Cool.
So
That's our
a
announcement. That
spoiler.
was our world exclusive. Thank you, Michael Damiani.
Congrats, Mike.
Congrats. I'm actually very jealous. It's hard to see like someone just going like, yeah, I'm gonna go work from home every day in Texas and be like, oh, I want that.
That heat?
Yeah.
No way.
Okay.
There's no way. That heat.
Let's talk about this week's bet.
Uh-oh.
So I want to do these once a month because I love doing them so much. It's the word hunt in reviews. I love doing these.
Okay.
So next week, Little Big Planet 3 is released. I'm going to read the top 10 most recent reviews on game rankings. How many times will I see the word floaty?
Wait, what?
Floaty.
Say that one more time, the whole sentence.
Floaty. How many
the whole
of
sentence.
so I'm looking at the top 10 most recent reviews for Little Big Planet 3 on GameRankings.com. How many times will I see the word floaty?
Okay.
I actually lost track of who goes
You're
first or
not,
last.
you're not doing
think I
just the
went
quotes,
first
right?
over.
You're doing the full review.
Yep, full review.
And it's the first 10.
First 10. Most recent.
Okay.
Who went first or last week?
I thought I did.
I thought I went
No,
first,
what-
but he chose whether
Oh,
to go
okay,
first
so
or
he
last.
said last. Right, so
Yes.
Blood, this week you chose whether you want to go first or last.
I'll go last.
Okay. How many floaties, Brandon? 0 floaties.
Ooh.
That's a good bet.
I thought it was just in the paragraph that you can see, like the little abridged paragraph. And I was going to say 0. Then when you said the whole thing, I was like, oh, maybe 1, but I'm gonna go
Still
0.
0. No way. Okay, there are going to be 4 floaties.
Does floatiness count? Floaty-like?
Does that have to be exactly floaty? Yeah.
F-L-O-A-T-Y?
Floatiness, I don't think anyone uses that word, but if floatiness appears, we'll count it. Okay. We'll count floatiness.
After he writes down 4 on
Yeah.
the page.
So you said 0. You said 4.
Yep.
Man. So it's only the maximum it will be said. Could be said as 10 times. No
10
one
times?
says floaty more than once.
I don't
And
know
you don't
about
say
that.
floaty more than once in a review.
No one's gonna do that. In those first
floaty
10,
backgrounds
in the first 10
were a little
reviews,
floaty.
no, there won't be. People won't do that. So it can't be more than 10.
So it's 10 more most recent. It's not the first 10 reviews, it's the 10 that show up most recently.
Oh, most recent.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, but it's on there. Like, there's very few sites that like people don't actually look at the review.
Yeah.
But
Really thinking about this one, Mike.
yeah.
What if the guy's
He's only got-
username is Floaty?
Damiani, like, Floaty wrote the review.
Yeah.
Floaty McGee.
Yeah. Floaty McFloaterson.
If
That's
it's
two right
Floaty
there.
McFloaterson, it counts. That's 2.
Dang. I'm leaning between going in between you two guys or just going one above you, Kyle.
Take your time.
tough.
Damiani, he
your time.
only
Don't
has
rush
5
it.
more bets. He's
Don't
got to
rush
make
it.
these count. He's only got, I think, 5
Yeah, what happens
more.
to his score? Is he in the lead?
No.
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 it's
Blood's
out.
still in the lead.
Oh, damn it.
I'm gonna go with 2.
Damiani's going 2. And
Okay.
Daniel Bloodworth, you've chosen to go last. Make it count.
Yeah, I was going to go a lot higher, but I guess I'll play it safe now and just do like
5 will lock
6.
it in. 6, you going?
Ooh,
Yeah.
6.
Okay.
Not even 5.
Then we'll have to do it. He wants to do a tiebreaker again. All right, let me lock those bets in. Okay. Last week's bet was how many minutes would be spent exclusively talking about StarCraft in the opening ceremony of BlizzCon. 5 minutes were spent. The winning bet is 7, courtesy of Brandon Jones.
Yeah, with the Blizzard win.
Times.
Nice.
Always on the times.
Brandon,
Yeah.
I don't know if you realize this, but you now have 6 points. Do you know what that means?
Am I tied with you?
You're tied with me.
Yeah.
You were
I had
at
1 point
you
for
were
like
at one
a year.
point for weeks and
For a
weeks.
really, really, really long time.
And then you caught up to me.
Yes.
So that's me and Brandon at 6, Michael Damiani at 9, Bloodworth at 11. Still pretty close, but I can't believe that I'm not.
I can't pitch the same show you pitched last week, even though it's still not up.
You
It's not up
absolutely
by
could.
this recording, but
It's not
it'll be up.
unprecedented to do that. Yeah, you can plug this same show twice in a week.
Trying to think of what I'm not really working on it. Well, I reviewed Assassin's Creed. You can always watch that video. But Trailer Academy is coming back. We talked about it last week. I finished it up this week. I just finished it up last night. It should be going up today, Thursday.
It's on the schedule for today, but yeah, it'll be up. Yeah.
It's done. I got a couple last minute things.
Tell us what you like about it.
I wish we had some more leeway for promoting it.
I'm
but
testing
yeah.
a format. There was always something I didn't like about my show, Trailer Academy, which is that it's just me, like big windbag, talking about like, here's what you should do, and like, you know, it's an art form. It's a collaborative art form. So I'm testing out actually going to developers and going to trailer companies and asking them how they do what they do and seeing what we can learn from it. And so I'm kind of curious to see how the format works out. So I went to Carbine Studios, guys who make WildStar, talked to their trailer department, their cinematics department, and they're like so energetic about explaining what they do. And I got like 3 times the footage that you actually see in the episode. But hopefully it is informative.
And you want to do more? You want to do that?
I want to do more.
other
It's
people?
fun because like we do the whole VO thing where I got my game footage and then I read a script and I read it and cut that.
Yep.
I've been doing that for a long, long time. So like doing a documentary style thing, I can like feel parts of my brain growing. It's like, oh cool, I don't not naturally do this. And like what we're talking about with Backtrack, when you produce episodes of Backtrack, it's fun to like find a narrative thread
Cool.
from just people talking. So they're talking about trailers, and we're game trailers. So hopefully that,
Yeah, well,
that
I
is
mean,
relevant to our
that's
audience.
the thing that's really interesting about doing that style of thing because there is a story there, and it's not just about like putting this interview back to back to back. It's like, okay, let me ask these guys about the exact same thing, see what they say, and then like piece them together. And it's definitely a fun process, even though it's incredibly labor intensive.
Yeah. And Brandon does it all himself.
I even shot it myself. Actually,
I do a
which is
heck
fun.
of a lot of backtrack by myself, although I don't shoot or edit, so I definitely need other people on those ends. But
Brandon shot.
What do you do by yourself,
edited,
Kyle?
hosted, you wrote that whole.
Yeah, it's a one-step
like,
shot.
Oh my god.
Omar shot it.
Omar
jumped in.
shot it.
Omar
Oh, okay.
jumped in to shoot some stuff.
I thought you shot it.
And I shot the interviews. He shot me
Oh, okay.
in the face. Shot me in my giant forearm.
What a production.
But yeah, very fun, and hopefully something. Don't know when I'll do. I'll maybe do those once a month, once every 2
2015
months
maybe,
or something.
yeah.
Probably January is when I'll do the next Trailer Academy. But I like that show, and anybody who watches it, bless you. Thank you for supporting trailers.
That was a great plug. That was a great plug.
I make them long. We have Twitter handles. You can go to them. Please follow us. We say interesting things. If you like the conversation, we keep it going on Twitter. You're very good on Twitter. Kyle's good to follow. Just follow Kyle. You can also follow us on Twitch. We're doing all sorts of fun live stuff. We're starting to do weekly shows now. Mr. Damiani will continue his Twitch duties, even from Texas. And you can go to GameTrailers.com, where you likely are right now, and watch more videos. And that's it. That's the show.
I love.
Damiani, what's in your mug?
What? Oh, he's dropping the mic.
Okay. And
Dropping the mic.
What am I?
Okay, come on, it's just-
okay.
Kyle, you've been dreaming.
so it's all been a dream?
There's
Okay.
never been any mug.
There's always been a mug.
Never been a
Nope.
mug.
Whoa.
The mug died 10 years ago.
I'm pulling out my top. I'm spinning it.